Hi, I'm Melissa, your free-range psychic, and today I wanted to do a reading on Allen Dershowitz, Harvard law professor and lawyer to Jeffrey Epstein, as well as good friend to Trump and pundit on Fox News and other media shows. So when I do my readings, I ask my guides to show me the cards psychically. I don't pick them out of the deck myself, or I don't shuffle the deck and draw them that way. Once they show me the cards they want me to read, I then pick them out and then I ask them, well, why did you choose this card? And they tell me, and then I tell you. So also, before I start on that, I just wanted to say a few things regarding the media and Mueller. You know, I watched the Mueller testify Wednesday. I'm sure many or most of you did. And it was an exhausting day for me. It was a very emotional day. And it was such a powerful day because of the things that he said. He said that, you know, the president is a liar. He's someone who could be convicted of a crime when he potentially, or at least accused, you know, tried for a crime when he leaves office. That the Russians are interfering in a very significant way in our elections, and they were doing that when Trump was elected. So it just irritated me no end when the media just jumped on his physical appearance and the fact that they thought he looked old. And he's not an actor, for God's sake. This man is a FBI investigator. He's someone who is highly intelligent, with an amazing record, a huge amount of bravery. I didn't understand why we were so quick, or why the media was so quick to just attack him, because maybe he might have stumbled on some things. And, you know, he was really limited because of that restriction that Barr placed on him. I don't think it was that he didn't know what was in the report. I think he had to be really careful about what he said because of the purview which he was given, which was very narrow. So I watched the media just whoever the personalities were that just tear right into him. Is that what was important? This like huge earth-shattering information came out, and Mueller was I don't know if the brave is the right word, but he said these things. He didn't hide the fact that he thought these things. These were earth-shattering things, and they are very damaging. They will be very damaging to the Trump administration. So the other thought about that was the media itself, which is highly important to keep us informed, but they also become this entertainment forum, and I don't even know if they are aware of it when they just kind of fall lockstep into it. Even MSNBC to keep us, you know, tied in, keep us hooked. What's going to happen next? There's so much endless speculation on things that we don't know yet, and the speculation tends to be really what's the word? Well, it's detached from reality in some ways. You get these talking heads, or the usual suspects, you know, and they get really outraged about this or that, you know, about impeachment or Trump. Listening, it raises your blood pressure. It makes you really angry, or really worried, and they're not even really talking about anything that has happened or that they really know about. They're just talking about what if. So I really caution myself and anybody else when you get drawn into that, and day after day, really in between events, you know, when all you're hearing is narratives, whether you agree with them or not, back away from that. Don't get swept into it, because it is it has no value, really, unless it's really based on you know, reasonable fact and real potential outcome. And if that's the case, it doesn't have to be emotional. I really don't want MSNBC or CNN or any of those media outlets to get like Fox, which is really purely emotional. Case in point in terms of impeachment, my guide said there will be impeachment. I think Linda G's guides, yes, they said that to her too. So everybody's getting really frustrated. Oh, it's got to happen now. Well, it's a political game, and it's a highly subtle game. So be aware of what you see isn't necessarily what's really happening or what's going on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I think I said that in a reading about Pelosi, is that, she's got it in hand. She's got it under control. She's really whipping up the base and whipping up the Congress. So she's getting more and more support for impeachment. And at some point she'll go, oh, well, now it's overwhelming. I guess we need to go ahead. I really didn't want to do it, but the truth is, I think she kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit when she said, all this gives me leverage when more and more Democrats start demanding impeachment. Well, it does. It gives her leverage for a successful impeachment, a successful series of events that will lay out Trump's guilt in an overwhelming and undeniable way. And that's what she wants. It needs to be based on fact, not just on emotion. So be careful, be careful. And a tarot card actually came to my mind regarding it, which is the Chariot. That, who's driving your chariot? Is the media driving your chariot? And with the two horses, you being emotion, and they're going this way and that way, and they're just controlled by whatever you're told that you think you should feel? Or is it you? Are you in control of your emotions? Are you in control of your thoughts, of your opinions, of what you feel? Are you in control, or is somebody else in control? And as we watch the media or read or whatever, YouTube, or watch YouTube or read whatever newspaper you read, if you still read a newspaper, just be aware that you need to use discernment. And when you feel yourself getting overly emotional, you're driving that chariot, will just kind of draw into the reins. Is that the right word? Slow that chariot down or bring it to a stop and just take a breath and go, wait a minute. What's really happening here? What do I really know? What really is the case? And if I don't know, maybe I need to, meditate on it or research some more, or wait. God forbid we should wait, for the next day or the next time we actually get some real factual news. So those are my thoughts on the whole matter. And I love Mueller. I think he's an amazing hero. He must be exhausted and worried and emotional himself because of the betrayal by Barr and the terrible things that are going on, that he knows so much more than we do. He's looking at Jordan and all those different GOP, and he's like, yeah, I know about you. I've seen the photos, I've heard the tapes. yeah, whatever. That's what he's really thinking, I'm pretty sure. So now I'll get on with this reading. So again, with all of these GOP folk, not enough soap when you read their energy. And this was really very negative energy. I really had to encircle myself with light as I was doing this reading. And let's encircle ourselves with light now. Let's be protected in this ring of light as we read about this nefarious man. So the first card that I got was Lovers, the Lovers. I really expected to get the Devil card, but that is not what my guides wanted me to pick for this. So I hope you don't mind. I am going to read from notes that I take these notes when I ask my guides what these cards mean. So my guide said, Dershowitz's involvement with Epstein and his participation with underage girls, which is this card was representing, multiple girls and still ongoing, potentially, allegedly. I'm just a psychic. What do I know? He not only partakes, but he assists in other aspects of it, i.e. monetary exploitation of the girls, the bribes and threats to keep it to themselves and to keep their families quiet, and any legal matters involving that. Epstein requests that Epstein requests he take care of. He denies being on Epstein's properties, like the ranch in Las Vegas or St. James Island, but he's actually a frequent guest, frequent flyer. So that is the subject card for Dershowitz. Above is the Hierophant. The Hierophant represents, well, this was interesting. My guides, the first thing they wanted me to note was the phallic nature of this card. This is really representing institutionalized patriarchy, the supremacy of the male in all things. This is what Dershowitz believes and tries to represent. This is his perspective, his outlook. It's also about his desire to appear as someone who is within the norm of society. You know, that he's a preacher of what's normal, that he represents the norm, he represents convention. He represents himself as an authority and a paragon of virtue. You know, I kept my underwear on. That's what we've come to. I had a massage, but I had my underwear on. So nothing could have happened. It was totally fine. That's what he said. Using this image, he uses this image as a shield to protect and also hide the nefarious activities of himself and his cohorts and people he represents. So it's interesting because they brought my attention to this. It's a stained glass window, but they kind of represented it to me as a door or maybe a window into what's really happening, but he's blocking that. You can't. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I was thinking of a door, but I just realized, yes, this is a stained glass window, but it's probably clear behind this figure. You could actually see into, you know, the orgies and kinds of things that are happening, you know, with Epstein. Well, whatever his activities are. I was thinking of, you know, having a kind of bird's eye view on his, or a fly's eye view on his island, you know, what goes on there. But we're at whatever, Epstein is blocking that. He's shielding it with this image of the Hierophant. So he's saying, don't look behind me, you know, kind of fall for the stained glass that's covering it up, whatever I'm going to throw at you, whatever illusion I'm going to throw at you. So it's an attempt to appear virtuous, innocent, a moral icon, beyond question, suspicion, or reproach. That's the stance he takes. So Allen Dershowitz is a talking head, a pundit for Fox News and other media outlets where he can influence and shape public opinion and perception. And so this is represented by the Hierophant. So that's another aspect of it. That's his representation, or what his attempt is to society. So I thought that was really interesting. In the near or the recent past, the card was the Five of Swords. So the Five of Swords is Dershowitz as as Epstein's attorney. They were saying it's blackmail. You know, he's blackmailing and threatening the girls who have come to accuse Epstein, threatening their families. The guides say he can be extremely vicious. If you don't drop these charges, something might happen to you or your family, and you wouldn't want that. Very much a mafia mentality. That's the card of the mafia. Below is the Seven of Wands. And so that's Dershowitz right now as having to defend himself as a defendant. He's defending himself against all these accusations And he's defending Epstein against all these accusations too. And whoever else, whatever other important people he represents or he's trying to protect. In the near future, we have the Tower, which is a common card or common thread in these readings, right? About Trump or anybody related to Trump. The Trump Tower. A tower so much represents Trump. They are one and the same. And it's also another phallic card, right? So this is Dershowitz falling out of the tower. So this is boom, lightning strikes and unleashing more information. This is the dam has broken, and we are awash with a ton of very damaging information regarding Epstein, Dershowitz, and anybody involved in the exploitation of young girls and abuse of minors. So I'm just I apologize. I was just looking to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh yeah. So the tower cannot withstand the storm. It's been strong in the past, but now it's got too many cracks in it. It's too compromised by the hits, and it's gonna fall. It's gonna yeah, crack in half there. So you better get out now. All these Trumpster rats jumping the ship, right? Jumping out of the tower. So the clarifying card is Justice, another card that continually comes up. And my guides say that the tower is, you know, the Southern District of New York, the investigation that's going on about Epstein and Dershowitz and this whole affair. I was trying to think of an adjective for it, but the whole slimy mess. They are out, but my guys are saying they are on it. Justice is on it. It's under severe scrutiny. That is going to be represented here by the sun. Yeah, they're looking at everything. they're not shutting their eyes about this. Justice may be blind in terms of fairness. It's only going to focus in on the law. It's not going to look at anything else, and it's investigating some pretty heinous stuff here. But yeah, justice is on it. Scrutinizing every detail. Yeah. So as I'm saying that, I was like thinking that is kind of paradoxical, because here you have justice being blind, but I think that means it's blind to a distraction. That's what I'm going to say. That's what the blindfold means. It's not going to be distracted. The outcome card, another card that continually comes up, is the Death card. So the Death card in this instance, the outcome is the death of Trump's Hierophant. Or no, I'm sorry. Oh, whoops! I'm holding that upside down. That was unintended. It means that in a sense. It doesn't mean the death of Dershowitz, though. It means death trumps the Hierophant. The Hierophant may be an authority. It may be a very high authority, maybe the highest authority in the land, like the Catholic churches in some countries. But death trumps that. Death comes in, and there is no special condition that would let where death would say, oh, you belong to the church, or you belong to Fox News, or whatever it is. No, you're going to, because I'm really in charge here. So forget it. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much power you have. I don't care who you are. I'm pack your bags. Let's go, buddy. So in this instance, my guides say it means the death of Dershowitz, or Dershowitz being able to use his reputation, and his skill of illusion and indignant outrage. His inability to use his persona now to get away with what he's been getting away with. That's the end of that. So they said to me, "Oh, how the mighty have fallen." And the result of jumping out of the tower is death. So in this instance, I mean, this particular jump, it cannot be survived. It's ending in that. And they also said coming down with a huge crash. So that was my reading on Dershowitz. So I did choose a card for us, and it's I actually chose it myself, or it's been in my mind as something to talk about, and I asked my guides if it was okay to choose that card today for us, because I think it's an issue we all have. I mean, I know we all have it at certain stages in our life, and I think especially now with everything just being so intense, and so the changes, the energy shifts that are happening are happening so quickly, and you know, our news cycle is so quick, and the things happening in our own lives are happening, I think, at a fast rate in terms of our evolutionary growth. So when we're confronted with those kinds of energies, it's a really natural reaction to say, oh no, I don't want this, you know, I don't want this change in my life. I don't want to have to let go. I don't want things to change at all. We're resistant to change, even if the change means wonderful things for us. We are familiar, or no, we are comforted by what's familiar. We're safe with what's familiar, even if that familiarity isn't good for us. At least we know it. So this is the card that I chose, and the thing is that I had been thinking about this before I got this particular deck, this card. It wasn't in any of the other decks I had, any of the other oracle decks. So, and I love using the show as a forum to show new tarot decks, because I've been inspired when I've seen other tarot readers show their decks or show new decks. And this one is amazing. This is Queen of the Moon Oracle. And I think I saw this when I was just looking for some cards. I don't think I didn't see it on YouTube, but it looks so beautiful, the pictures of it. And I ordered it, and I'm just so glad I did. This is by Stacey Demarco. And I'll show you some of these cards. This is growth, blossoming, self-love. And these are all different stages of the moon. And I love the interpretations. This one I'll show you too. Is this nourishment? Yeah. What is this one? The path. So I love these cards, and I haven't looked at all of them. I don't really want to look at all of them right now. I want to be surprised. I want to pick one out and say, oh, I hadn't seen that one before. So it's the Queen of the Moon Oracle, and the card that I was so glad was in it, and the card that I wanted to share with us is Resistance. So I'll read what this card means. So this is the waning crescent. Familiarize yourself with how resistance manifests for you, the overt and the covert. If you continue to have doors slammed in your face, turn around. There will normally be an open door. Procrastination is just another kind of fear. Move forward with confidence and persistence. I flow through resistance, and I am in control. So there are two kinds of resistance. The first type we encounter when we keep getting obstacles placed in our way, or our way is blocked. For example, we try to get a particular job in a particular field, but no matter what we do, it doesn't happen. This is external or overt resistance. Covert resistance, which occurs when we say we really want to do something or complete something but feel resistance not to, is somewhat sneakier. All forms of procrastination fit in here. Writer's block being a classic example. When we want to do something but get distracted and just don't do it, we just can't seem to engage our will enough. That is covert resistance. When we want to get rid of a bad habit, an addiction, an old pattern, in fact, anything we are thinking of releasing for the dark moon, and feel resistance in doing that, we have a big dose of covert resistance. We must battle the second kind of resistance like we would battle a crafty and terrible enemy. We must raise our shields and sharpen our swords and have a strategy to remove the resistance. In fact, we must flow through it. It's a battle we might have to fight more than once, but we will be resilient and vigilant, and fight it we will. For when we win, and we will win, the rewards are great. Why do we resist the things we say we want? Sometimes we don't really want those things. Most of the time, though, we are frightened about what might happen if we get what we've asked for. What will people think? Will we lose our friends and our family if we win? Will it be all for nothing if we try and fail? But we must be willful and we must have courage. We must repeat to ourselves, this is what I really want for me. Yes, I am worth it. And then we stand up straight, put our crown of sovereignty on, and we go to battle. So they suggest a companion stone or metal for these cards, and the one that they suggest you work with is red jasper. So I'll show you this card again. And how many of us are feeling this in our own lives or have felt this? And I feel like that's what Mercury retrograde really stirs up, because so many things go wrong. I can't even tell you the amount of things that happen or are happening during this Mercury retrograde. Just, mundane things, but just day after day. And we resist it. We resist Mercury retrograde because we want things to go on as normal, of course. But at some point, it becomes overwhelming. And really, a lot of us, I shouldn't say a lot of us, but there is a point where you kind of figure out, or at least sometimes you figure out that you kind of just have to surrender to it. And you have to focus on the things that are really important. You resist getting rid of the things you really don't want, because Mercury, a lot of times Mercury retrograde will take away the things you don't need, or it'll actually make things possible that you do need. It'll kind of get rid of one thing, but then a solution will come in. So, and then I think that's another message of resistance that's not written about here, which is just surrender. Open yourselves up to what the change brings in. That's another attribute I would give to this card. And another thing I've been thinking about is when we stop resisting and we open ourselves up to the new. And we get involved in that. We go in the direction that we're being pointed in, as opposed to stubbornly, standing with our back to it, or going down in the old direction, which is really not working out for us. So it's just human nature to resist change. But right now, there's so much change coming in. Learning how to surrender to the change and trust the change and have faith in the change. That's really major right now. So those are my thoughts, and those were thoughts I was having before I got this stack, or read you what this interpretation in this book is, because I think that's really valid too. But I think it's a huge subject, resistance. That's a very spiritual challenge, a very spiritual lesson. But I think the antidote is surrender, acceptance, faith, and having faith in the new, what's coming. So that is my reading for today. It is July 28th, and it is very hot and humid out there. It's a Sunday here. Well, yeah, I guess I don't know, and somewhere else in the world it might be Monday. And I hope that you're all having a good day and finding some me time, finding some relaxation, finding some centering. And I do personal readings. I do past life readings. I, do present life readings. I will be happy to help you contact ones who have passed over. And also, if they have not made their transition, I can help them make that transition. I can determine whether, or my guides can determine whether or not they've moved on. And if not, we can try to help them move on. And I love to introduce people to their guardian angels. So if you want a reading from me, the information will be provided below. Please like and subscribe, as well as share this video if you've enjoyed it. And I had another idea. If you have any questions you've been wanting, and I know you do because I see them in the comment section, but I'm going to try to do like my next video answering the questions you ask. I probably can't promise to answer all of them, and sometimes my guides maybe not want to answer them. But if you have questions, shoot them to me, and if I have enough for the next video, I will do a guided reading on your questions. I would love to try to do that. I did try to set up a live stream, but I failed miserably. Of course, Mercury retrograde, this is not the time, is it? But I'm going to keep on working on that. And then at some point, because it's more complicated than you realize to set up a live stream, there's various things you got to kind of do that are not, they're not obvious on the surface. You got to kind of figure it out. I'm still figuring it out, but I think I'll get there. So have a great rest of your day, night, morning, wherever this finds you. And I will be doing another video soon. You take care now, okay?